हाँ साथियों, न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव की ओर से आयोजित इस वार्ता में आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत है। आज की जो वार्ता है वो स्वास्थ्य जो हेल्थ एंड हेल्थ सिस्टम आफ्टर कोविड-19 पैंडेमिक कि देश के पैमाने पर स्वास्थ्य जो व्यवस्था है उसकी क्या हालात होने जा रहे हैं और किस तरह की मांगे होनी चाहिए हमारी ओर से ताकि एक बेहतर पब्लिक हेल्थ सिस्टम बन सके, उसके बारे में हमारे बीच आज डॉक्टर धर्मवीर गांधी हैं जो इसके बारे में अपनी बात रखेंगे। डॉक्टर धर्मवीर गांधी बहुत लंबे समय से रिवोल्यूशनरी लेफ्ट मूवमेंट के साथ जुड़े रहे हैं और वो पिछले टर्म में पटियाला से मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट भी रहे हैं और पेशे से वो कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट हैं। तो वो आज हमारे बीच में साथी डॉक्टर धर्मवीर गांधी अपनी बात रखेंगे। साथी ये बात शुरू हो उससे पहले मैं न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव के बारे में चंद बातें आप लोगों के साथ साझा करना चाहता हूं। न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव पिछले लगभग 15 सालों से कार्यरत है। यह वामपंथी बुद्धिजीवियों और कार्यकर्ताओं का एक ऐसा मंच है जो इसके बारे में विचार विमर्श करता है कि की जो वामपंथी आंदोलन है देश और दुनिया के पैमाने पर, उसके सामने जो मौजूदा चुनौतियां हैं उसको किस तरह से देखा जाए और आने वाले समय में किस तरह की रणनीतियां बनाई जाएं ताकि मौजूदा जो पूंजीवादी निजाम है उसको बदलकर एक समाजवादी निजाम की स्थापना की जा सके। न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव बहुत सारे मसलों पर अपना चर्चा करता रहा है, जो समाजवाद के इतिहास के बारे में कि बीती सदी में जो समाजवादी प्रयोग हुए दुनिया के पैमाने पर उनके होने और उनके असफल होने की पड़ताल की जाए। दूसरी बात कि आने वाले समय में समाजवाद की क्या रूपरेखा होगी उसके बारे में चिंतन किया जाए, उसके बारे में कुछ बातें रखी जाएं। साथियों, हम लोग ये भी जानते हैं कि आने वाले समय की चुनौती ऐसी है वामपंथी आंदोलन के सामने जो पहले कभी नहीं रही है। आने वाले समय में पहली बार देश और दुनिया भर के जो मार्क्सवादी हैं उनका सामना एक ऐसी व्यवस्था से है जो ऐसे पूंजीवाद से है जो जनतांत्रिक प्रणाली के अधीन काम करता है और दुनिया में कभी कोई ऐसा उदाहरण नहीं रहा है जिसमें पूंजीवाद को पूंजीवादी जनतांत्रिक प्रणाली के अधीन क्रांति करके बदला गया हो और समाजवाद की स्थापना की गई हो। ये सवाल अपने आप में एक नया सवाल है जो नए रणनीतियों और नए तरह के लड़ाई के ढंगों की मांग करता है। तो इस तरह के तमाम सवालों पर न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव अपने बीच में बातचीत करता रहा है, अपने विचारों का प्रचार प्रसार करता रहा है और इसी कड़ी में हम लोगों ने ये प्रक्रिया शुरू की है कि मौजूदा दौर में जो अब पेंडेमिक है, जो कोविड-19 महामारी है, उस दौर में उसका सबसे बुरा असर जो पड़ रहा है वो हम देख रहे हैं कि देश की जो गरीब मेहनतकश जनता है उस पे पड़ रहा है और बाकी तमाम जो मेहनतकश तबके हैं उनकी जिंदगियों पर सबसे जो असर है वो पड़ रहा है। लेकिन दूसरी तरफ हम ये देखते हैं कि इसी दौर में जो देश का निजाम है, जो देश की सरकारें हैं, वो देश के उद्योगपतियों को औने पौने दामों पर देश के रिसोर्सेज बेच रही हैं। वो इसी दौरान जब महामारी पूरे देश और दुनिया में फैली हुई है, वो प्राइवेटाइजेशन की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं। वो अपने उन मंसूबों को पूरा कर रहे हैं जो शायद नॉर्मल टाइम में करना उनके लिए उतना आसान नहीं होता, क्योंकि इस समय किसी भी तरह का प्रतिरोध सड़क पर संगठित नहीं किया जा सकता है। इसलिए वो लोग एक तरह से इसको अवसर के तौर पर इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं कि कैसे जो भी सार्वजनिक संपत्तियां हैं वो निजी उद्यमियों को बेच दी जाए और उससे पैसा बनाया जाए। तो ऐसे दौर में हम लोगों को भी ये सोचना चाहिए कि अलग अलग मुद्दों पर कि हम लोग इसको कैसे देखते हैं और इस जो चुनौती है मौजूदा दौर की, उससे कैसे लड़ा जा सकता है। तो न्यू सोशलिस्ट इनिशिएटिव की इस डिस्कशन में आप सब लोगों का दोबारा स्वागत है और मैं अब हैंड ओवर करता हूं डॉक्टर धर्मवीर गांधी को कि वो अपनी बात रखेंगे। थैंक यू।
Thank you, friends. Thank you all the members attending this Zoom meeting. I am thankful to New Socialist Initiative organizers for giving me this an opportunity to discuss this all important issue today and exchange our views, learn from each other, and have a common strategy or a common platform or common voice to raise our issues of concern as pertaining to crisis, maybe health crisis or impending economic crisis looming large over the world and more so in India today. So I am really thankful to all of you for participating in this meeting. Being a doctor, some part will go to Corona itself, because I can't help it without talking to you about Corona, this pandemic. So this Earth planet is also called virus planet by some scientists in the history. So there are crores and tens of crores of viruses in this universe, and man had been living with these viruses for centuries and centuries. All the viruses are not contagious; they are not harmful to human beings. Only few hundreds are, and man had and our society or this world had been witnessing many endemic, epidemics, and pandemics pertaining to virus and bacterial illnesses all over the known human history, and right from mild to quite dangerous, right from involving a small set of population to involving the entire world. And Spanish flu is the very bad example of how a flu virus can cause havoc with humanity. It infected one-third of world population in 1918 to 1920 and wiped out 5 crore 50 million people. It's spread over these 2 years. So this is the enormity of situation, enormity of seriousness. And as regard this coronavirus, it is a new virus, and the exact virological behavior and epidemiological behavior of this virus is not known. How it's going to behave during next 2 months, 4 months, 6 months down the line, you don't know. And how much immunity it confers, you don't know. How much antibodies produces, whether its immunity remains for 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. There are contradicting studies, but in any case, the immunity is not longer than 6 weeks to 6 months by some studies from Stanford, studies from China, Wuhan's University Medical School, and studies and certain studies from Italy. So behavior that so you don't know where we stand today. Even today, the risk is equally there. I'm not scaring you at all, but being a new virus, though, and not knowing the exact immunity it confers, how much antibodies produces, how long immunity it gives, and what is the chances of reactivation of virus, and what are the chances of reinfection, you don't know. There are already some cases of recurrences, so-called second wave, though not in that big way, but even in China or Wuhan or adjoining cities, Hubei province, and in South Korea, there are some cases of recurrence, but the scientists, the virologists have said this is not recurrence, this is the reactivation of virus. It means it doesn't confer you very good immunity, which many of the viruses do or many of the bacteria do. So long as there is no effective vaccine, and that is a big question mark at the moment, you don't know how this virus is going to behave during next 6 months, 1 year or 2 years. It is quite unpredictable, because Spanish flu took complete 2 years and 4 months to vanish from the face of this earth, and it took the toll of 50 million people, that is 5 crore people, and in fact one-third of that it took the toll of 50 million and in fact 500 million people, 50 crore people, which was one-third of the world population I already mentioned during that time. I mean, almost 100 years back. So it's not all of a sudden that governments all over the world were taken aback. They were caught and just sleeping. It was not like that. Once the cases of this coronavirus were spotted outside Wuhan, it was evident by the end of February or early March that this is going to be a pandemic. So governments had enough time to prepare itself and to make adequate arrangements to protect its people, to safeguard the health interest of its people, and to build a system adequate enough to counter this pandemic, and which was totally unpredictable, and the havoc it played in Wuhan was known to everybody. It was highly contagious. So I believe, and the world as connected as it is today, hundreds and thousands of flights going from this crisscrossing the world every day. You just don't, you can well imagine how fast the vis-a-vis the 1980 Spanish flu, how fast in today's world, with so much of economic and social activity going on all over the globe, across continents, you don't know how much people can be infected and how much can be the mortality, I mean the death this virus can cause. So governments all over had good enough time to prepare itself to counter or to combat this impending health crisis. But unfortunately, the governments world over, our government, did not take adequate measures, did not prepare itself.
यतीन्द्र, आवाज नहीं आ रही है। यतीन्द्र, गांधी म्यूट हो गए हैं।
धर्मवीर, अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। आवाज नहीं आ रही है, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। Yes. Yes.
How much time I missed?
3-4 minutes. You were talking about Spanish flu, and then about, today with hundreds of flights, it will spread much.
Okay, that's fine. So it is not that all of a sudden that the governments in the world were caught. It is because of two reasons, obviously, that the governments did not act the way it should have acted. The government should have acted, including our government. So it was purely because of two reasons. One, because of utter contempt and utter disrespect for the health of its people and citizens of any particular country. And second, the total abysmal condition and total lack of a robust public health system almost all over the world. And even where you had one, I mean, national health scheme in UK, it collapsed miserably because of enormity of the situation and the total disease burden which engulfed entire Britain and UK. So some governments have done well, maybe for some other reasons. For example, New Zealand, South Korea, they have done well in spite of the system being the same. But overall, all across the globe, right from capitalist, I mean the Europe to Asia, to Latin America, to Africa, the governments everywhere did not prepare adequate. Some were not able to do it at all. But even those which were able to do, had the capacity and the capability to do it, they did not take it because the health system there for decades and decades is being run by a cartel, by a syndicate which comprises the corporate houses, which comprises doctors itself as a partner to it, and insurance companies. drug pharma companies as well as the company which make devices. For example, this stents and transplants and all that, which make devices or the this transplant organs. So transplant devices. So it is just captured privately with the active connivance of the respective governments, that they did not have a robust public health system in place. For these two reasons, the governments knowingly, they were well aware of the fact, well advanced, well in time. From end of February to early March, that this is going to be a problem the world over. They already mentioned, because of the so much mobility of people all across the globe, across continents. So these are two major reasons that the governments did not act in time, and which has led to big human loss of human lives, and it given rise to a lot of morbidity and mortality in the world. So I believe this is all about Corona. So I am not scaring anybody. Let us not be. We can always find ways out. Science is a great thing, and science has already found solutions to many problems. This polio is no more existing on the face of the earth. Tuberculosis can be cured, but it is different that India could not get rid of it. So we have got rid of smallpox, and so similarly with the passage of time, provided you have a proper economic, proper political system, and will of the government to help its people, to take people ahead on the right way, on the right path, science as it stands today is capable of doing miracles, and it has done miracles in the past, and it will keep on doing miracles. And provided the science is not again utilized for the private purposes, it is not the property of big pharma or big companies, maybe vaccines, making vaccines, maybe making drugs or other things, devices and all that. And for that, a proper system should be in place, which should be pro people, which should be democratic, which should be respecting people, and with welfare and doing work for the welfare of the whole people, whole society, not just a few filthy rich or the rogue the corporate houses only. So with that, on Corona, I now switch on to the second issue, that is it is just for us to meet today. Corona is just a precipitant. It is just a trigger to discuss the health issue. Otherwise, this issue could be discussed 6 months earlier also, because how much people have died of Corona? How much people have died of Corona? And it is not more than 3 lakh by now. But in India, every year, 3.23 lakh people die of tuberculosis. It's totally preventable disease. A disease of malnutrition, the infective disease, which 67 countries already taken care of. There's not even a single case of tuberculosis in entire Europe, and many of the advanced, Asian communities or Asian countries. So it is just a trigger to discuss this issue. Otherwise, this issue could be discussed anytime, long back also. So these health, education, shelter, food, nutrition, and useful employment, respectful dignity, dignified life. These are all basic needs of any person born on this earth. Basic needs of any individual born on this earth. Nobody has got a right to snatch away this right from the people on this planet. So, but unfortunately, this is not the case. That he's playing havoc with our economy, and what's the attitude towards these migratory workers? Crores and lakhs people are walking from one corner to the other, barefooted on their cycles, carrying children in their laps and bags on their shoulders and on their heads. It's such a terrible picture. Only capitalism can call it. We people who are humanists, who love people, who love society, who aspire, who have been aspiring lifelong for a better future for humanity, will not sit quiet, will not sit silent on this blatant, flagrant this violation of rights of people, this flagrant exploitation of people of the whole world, and more so in our own country. So because quite likely, if you have to fight the global system, you have to fight locally. You have to defeat locally. Only then the people of all country, you have to act locally. So we should be I believe NSI will further take more steps to gather more people around this forum and build a strong movement in the days to come, so that we do our role in the coming days, and we leave a good example for the next generations. And because our deeds will certainly go a long way in making this world a safer, a better, a healthier, and a final place to live for the next for the coming society and for coming generations. I think that's all. I'm thankful to you once again, and there are many more points one can talk later on in discussion also if you want to. And I'm really thankful, Comrade Ravi Sinha, Comrade Kanchan, and Comrade Subhash, and all those people. I don't know many of you. I have not been to NSC meeting for a long time because of my other engagements, professional as well as political. But in future, I will try to do time in near future. Thank you very much.
बोला इसकी लीड की चार्जिंग खत्म हो जाए, थोड़ी सी बच रही है.
हाँ, रवि जी, बहुत कुछ 2-3 इंटरेस्टिंग बातें जो आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन में मुझे जानकारी मिली. एक तो आपने जो वर्ल्ड बैंक का हवाला दिया, वर्ल्ड बैंक ने जो बताया कि भाई पॉवर्टी सबसे बड़ी बीमारी है, या इनइक्वालिटी बड़ी बीमारी है. बड़ी बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात है. 1919 दोनों में उन्होंने जो कहा था वो एक अच्छी बात है, जो मतलब और बात के रिपोर्ट में नहीं मिलता है. और दूसरा जो आपने कहा था कि जो हेल्थ को आपने परिभाषित किया, हेल्थ के जो 3 आयाम, मतलब आपने सोशल, फिजिकल और मेंटल हेल्थ को, और ये WHO की परिभाषा आपने दी कि ये तीनों एस्पेक्ट्स को आपने हेल्थ के बारे में कहा. ये है तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग मुझे लगा यहाँ पर. तो एक दो छोटे छोटे सवाल है, ज्यादा कोई महत्वपूर्ण सवाल नहीं है. मतलब मैं जैसे ये कास्ट का जो सवाल है, कास्ट का सवाल, तो अगर मतलब जैसे मैं इंडिया को और श्रीलंका को तुलना करता हूँ, तो श्रीलंका इतना सारा सिविल वॉर वहां पे हुआ, इसके बावजूद भी वहां ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स बेहतर दिखता है, इंक्लूडिंग कोरोना को लेकर के भी जो स्ट्रगल जो भी चल रहा है वहां पर. तो श्रीलंका के फिगर्स बड़े अच्छे लगते हैं, अच्छे, रिलेटिवली बेटर विसा विस इंडिया. ये मैं ये दरअसल साउथ एशिया में इंडिया का जो खराब स्थिति दिखती है कोरोना को लेकर के, मैं थोड़ा इसके बारे में थोड़ा कुछ अगर आप प्रकाश डाल सके, रोशनी डाल सके, इन केस यू हैव समथिंग टू से अबाउट इट, तो एक थोड़ा मैं जानना चाह रहा था बस.
So India, the very fact that the population itself is a big factor, and the ghettos of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, and this Dharavi and all that, and around Delhi, you see all around the Jhuggi Jhopris, and in thousand people living together, and otherwise also the Human Development Index and the Gender Development Index, and both in terms of hunger index and gender development index, and of course with the human development index. So it is this privatization drive and total lack of responsibility on the part of governments, especially for the last 6-7 years, more so. Of course, the earlier governments cannot be exempted from the sin they have committed against the people of India. But for the last few years, the more thrust is on the corporate world, giving a lot of concessions to the corporate world to the tune of 6-7 lakh crore rupees, 8 point something crore rupees, lakh crore rupees, and giving all the concessions, tax reliefs, and incentives to the corporate world, then to the common man, then to the common people. And the health of people is deteriorating with each passing day, and more and more people, and there's no abatement, there's no the disease pattern has not abated at all. The TB is not on the decline, it is still persisting, and same is the case with other release diseases I mentioned is the 1918 data, and 1919 is the same almost. It is 2000 more or less in India, and only with 3-4 countries behind it. So I think the population and the lack of population itself, and the ghettos and this Dharavi like slums, and secondly the commitment of the government in strengthening the preventive approach, and good sanitation, good environment to the people, good nutrition to the people, so that they have good immunity to fight diseases, inbuilt immunity, what we call innate immunity, or inbuilt, let's say innate inner ability to fight the diseases. Because of all these factors, it is less in India as compared to the country which have a better human development index, better nourishment, and better care of from the respective government. May not be ideal, but at least better than India.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Dr. Harmeet, Ravi, thank you
Yeah.
for agreeing to speak. You know, it's nice to have you here in this NSI
Thank
gathering.
you.
Such a long time.
Rather, I should thank you all for giving me this opportunity to interact people like you and others, and it is great of you to give me this opportunity. I am thankful to you.
Also, sorry for the technical glitch. You know, I mean, little bit of interruption was there.
Okay.
I had two small questions.
Yeah.
One is that is there a way to quantify if a country or a society has a very good health system? Then I don't know how to really pose a precise question. How many doctors per 1,000 people or per million people is a good number? And secondly, what percentage of GDP should go into health? The society as a whole, I'm not asking how much government, what private, you know, the society as a whole, how much of the GDP should spend on health in the general definition that you are giving?
You see, it's not the amount of money which is pumped into the health sector. It is the priorities you settle. Priorities where you pump the money. Do you pump the money to the corporate houses? Do you pump the money for bogus pharma or people who just job is just to make money, and they are lured only by very by extracting profits only? It is a question now. What America is doing? I tell you. One of the doctor known to me, he's running a business of his own. He is employing 40 American citizens, including some Indian citizens. So the government has put $8 million, $80 lakh in his kitty, so that he keeps them employed. Now it is up to the doctor to decide where to spend this money, whether to enhance his own interest or really give a better health delivery. So it is where you pump the money. That's very important. You may give 20%. America is contributing almost 18-20%. Then Europe is doing 8 to 10%. India is doing 2.5% to health. So it is the question of one is where you pump the money. Do you? And secondly, you cannot measure health, as they've already mentioned. I'm very convinced on it. Just in terms of disease and illnesses in the hospital and doctors and the pharma and all that, and availability to drugs and all the operations and surgeries and all that. You have to have a country that have social strife, even if the people do not have any particular disease. But what is happening to their social health, what is happening to their mental health, that's very important aspect. Very important aspect. Exploitation, working class people, the way they suffer humiliation, the way they suffer from poverty, from malnutrition, again in a good part of Europe and in major great chunk of rest of the world. So that is again not a good health. So I am very fond of, one say Ashik hu main, I am very fond of this WHO health definition. So we should consider a society which is free from social strife, free from communicable diseases, you will still have non-communicable diseases, which is not, there's no treatment for them, or degenerative diseases like osteoarthritis, like cataract, like many more diseases of the old age. You will have it, and you have a system in place to keep people healthy, or at least workable. But you cannot afford to have communicable diseases, waterborne diseases, infectious diseases, from which the good part of humanity has already got rid of, and the 2/3 of world people are still in the grip of those dirty diseases, which are totally treatable, totally preventable, just because of lack of commitment of the government and lack of resources spent on it to tackle these fundamental issues of health, fundamental diseases, the basic diseases which are existing. India has got now the conglomerate of both the type of diseases. We have disease of poverty also, we have disease of richness also. So at least disease of poverty should have gone by now. There's no place for TB, anybody die with TB and this dirty water and waterborne diseases, no place. So I mean, number one, where you pump the money. Number two, what are your priorities? Do you keep preventive health on the forefront, or just the curative health? Curative health is doing surgeries and all that. Preventive health means you don't allow people to have a bad lifestyle. You give them more gyms, more good exercise, good time for entertainment, for nourishment, psychological nourishment, for art, painting, all that, and you keep a holistic development of a person. Definitely, the man is going to have not only physical good health but also social and mentally good health also.
Yeah.
This is what I believe.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
डॉक्टर धर्मवीर जी, गुड आफ्टरनून.
Good afternoon, sir.
मेरा नाम आनंद प्रकाश है. मेरा एक जनरल कॉमन पर्सन है कि जो अभी इतना ये कोविड का इतना महामारी इंडिया में और वैश्विक स्तर पर है, तो क्या WHO की रिकमेंडेशन थी कि लॉकडाउन करना है, या विदाउट लॉकडाउन भी इस चीज पर काफी हद तक या कैसे भी इसको मैनेज किया जा सकता था? लॉकडाउन क्या अति अनिवार्य है करना, क्योंकि इससे बीमारी भी नहीं रुकी है. 400 में तो हमने लॉकडाउन लगाया, अब मोर देन 1 लाख के बाद हमें हटा रहे हैं. कोई तर्कपूर्ण बात तो नजर नहीं आ रही है. एक फॉर्मेलिटी करनी थी कि ये लॉकडाउन की, इस पे थोड़ा सा
I fully agree with you. The world did not initially take steps to tackle the problem. Then later on, the entire world acted in panic and in a lot of uncertainty. I agree with you that they locked down the whole country with 300 cases, and they're unlocking the country at more than 1 lakh cases. This is just not only foolish but irrational also. So I personally believe that the complete lockdown was never necessary had the government taken preventive measures at the very outset. So I told you earlier, when by the end of February and by the early March, there were sporadic cases started appearing, sporadic cases here and there all across the globe. Then there was a time when flights were to be cancelled, or people who flew from China or from Italy to other countries, because Italy is a tourist place for the world over. It has more tourists every year than this data population. So that was a time when checks should have been made, when airports should have been screened, and people had been quarantined who were traveling from Wuhan, or maybe Chinese, or maybe their own natives who had gone for the New Year Eve of China. So that was time the government did not act, India did not act. So it was, and later on, when the figures started swelling, they acted in panic, sheer panic. No head was going to fall if Modi had given 1 week to people to go to their respective villages and made some elaborate arrangements for their feeding, lodging, and everything, and dumped money into their pockets, at least 10,000, 50,000, whatever the basic requirements, and then settle them. And neither did they make any arrangements for their livelihood or for their life, for their bread and butter and all that, nor did they allow them to go their home. Such a havoc, you can just weep only, cry only, by looking lakhs of people traveling on foot with blisters on their feet, with children carrying on with their laps and on their. It's terrible. So they have played havoc with the Corona crisis also. Modi especially has played havoc with it totally, and the lack of concern. Utter lack of concern and sensitivity attached to it. I can only cry at it. I can only shame at him, and nothing else. Otherwise, you are very right that there were no. I also personally believe, and many doctors also personally believe, that had the governments of the world acted and reacted at appropriate time, there was never a need for complete lockdown. Never
Thank
a
you,
need.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Well,
डॉक्टर धर्मवीर, यहाँ आपके सवाल क्वेश्चन ने किसी रॉबिन महाजन ने पूछा है आपसे, व्हाट इज फैक्टर ऑफ GNH इन इंडिया? शुड इंडियन गवर्नमेंट इंक्रीज इट्स डिपेंडेंसी मोर ऑन GNH देन GDP? अब मुझे मालूम है GNH मतलब क्या होता है, रॉबिन महाजन ने सवाल पूछा है।
ये ग्रॉस नेशनल हैप्पीनेस है जो भूटान से शुरू होकर,
yeah. Bhutan is the happiest word in the world, and earlier it was Sweden or some other Scandinavian country. It's the gross happiness index. How people are happy. They may be poor, they may not be having enough gadgets with them, but still they are happy. They are not discontented. So that's the gross happiness index. So I believe that these are very closely interrelated. It is very rare that people can be hungry and people can be malnourished and people are sick and people don't have adequate employment, they don't have electricity, they don't have potable water, and still they can be happy. If that is if still they are happy, I think that is very sad state of affairs, and that's, I don't call it a real happiness. If you should be happy with full accomplishment of all the everything available for the best people in the world, it is available to them, only then they can feel to be happy. Of course, some other unusual things and rushing for things and crazy for things, that's not good. But basic minimum requirements are a prerequisite for one to be happy, really happy. Any more questions, please?
would you like to make some comments about two examples? One general example of Cuba, which has done very well, on the health front, and the second, in this COVID thing, Kerala has done quite well.
Very right. Very right.
Something about these two examples.
See, Kerala, number one, Kerala has got very good public health delivery system, and they have been managing such viruses aggressively during the last couple of years. They have good experience at it, handling of the cases at the initial level, tracking cases, picking up cases, quarantining them, and then save the rest of the people. This is what Kerala has done it. Initially, Kerala had the maximum number of cases and one expected that Kerala will be the epicenter. But shortly, the Kerala government, they acted very promptly, very efficiently, involving society, involving all the basic health workers with commitment, doctors, society, everybody was taken on board, and wonderfully, they have controlled it efficiently, effectively, and they have taken care of even small things. I mean, the people who are from other states, I mean Bihar or UP or West Bengal, who are working in Kerala, they, through their nodal officers, they gave them SIM cards, and so that they can talk to their families in Bihar or UP. So they took care of their mind. They prepared 10 type of meals for different areas of the country. For Biharis, they cook something else. For UP, they cook something else. For Gujarati, they cook something else. It is wonderful. It is a great accomplishment. I just forgot to mention. You are rightly pointed it out. So that is wonderful. That is again an example to be emulated by the rest of the country and the rest of the world also. That how community involvement, how the government's commitment, and how the comprehensive framework with which you tackle a problem and timely how you tackle it, that should be learned from Kerala. Really, I am happy that you asked this question. I am able to convey my feeling to all of you. And regarding Cuba, Cuba health model is the best in the world, I believe, as of today. But I have not gone through much of it. But the way they have done well in their own country, and the way they have extended international help to a deserving countries, to Venezuela, then to Italy, it is again a big example of international brotherhood and standing with humanity in the time of crisis. I really appreciate the spirit of Cuban government and Cuban people and Cuban doctor to stand by humanity and not just by one nation or the other, and in the hours of crisis. And that the real spirit of international Cuba has shown to the world. I appreciate that. But Kerala, Raviji, Kerala has done wonders. Kerala has done very well. Kerala is great that way. And government is not propagating it. Nobody is propagating it. Even leftists are not even leftists are not propagating it adequately. It is worth emulating and worth propagating. Yeah.
ये आपके लिए सवाल आया है धर्मवीर जी।
Yeah.
वो आपने देखा ही हुआ, कश्मीर एंड असम आर अंडर ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशंस, हाउ वी प्रोसीड फॉर प्रोटेस्टिंग इन कोविड पैंडेमिक, सेम गोस फॉर सीए प्रोटेस्ट। ये सवाल रॉबिन महाजन पूछ रहा है।
Yeah, see, these protests, the panic the government has created, and it is not that people will feel offended that because we are hitting Hindutva now, or Hindutva philosophy now, or we are standing with Muslims on this issue, on the issue of citizenship. People will think we are standing against the people of India. We are supporting the COVID to spread if we go by the classical way, the traditional way of protesting. So definitely for the time being, we will have to devise ways and means to protest differently, because the sentiments of people are today, as they stand today, in wake of this corona crisis, do not allow me to, or people like us, to organize a different sort of protest, or to go public for public meetings, or we can just write articles wherever possible, talk in small meetings like this, or we can build some international where our friends are, where you have open relatively more less disease under control, and there's not that much of panic that countries are opening. But at the present, India is passing through a lot of uncertainty. You don't know when 1 lakh will turn into 2 lakhs and 4 lakh. There's the uncertainty. And let us hope it doesn't happen. And I believe there could be some reasons for that, and that India is not going by leaps and bounds as it's done in America or in Italy or in Spain, because of 2-3 factors which people count. One is we are in the malarial zone, and we have taken a lot of chloroquine. Everybody has taken chloroquine in kilos during lifetime. And secondly, most likely this BCG vaccine, which is against tuberculosis, because this genes of corona have got malarial genes also. They have got genes of malaria and genes of this HIV. So if there are malarial genes, it means maybe something, I don't know, there are no evidence as yet that something chloroquine intake might have something to do with it. Secondly, temperature is there. Thirdly, the people in India, as most of the people in the African countries, the corona is not much prevalent in Africa. In entire Africa, there are not as many cases as in Europe and the rest of the world. So maybe people being poor, majority being poor and destitute, and in a very poor health, or in very bad environmental conditions, we have ingested, we have taken, we are in contact with many viruses in our lifetime, and even children playing in dirty places, eating picking from the ground, and then and maybe we have developed some immunity for many viruses in a natural way. So that could be one reason. So let us hope India doesn't go the same way as Europe has done. Europe has gone, and But till next 15 days are very important for this country to witness the magnitude of the disease burden, so that we can ask the government, compel the government to adequate policies and build a strong health system. In the meantime, as this Maharashtra government has built 108 bed COVID designated hospital. So let us keep our preparation. Let us be ready to face any eventuality. But at the same time, we should see that social distancing to the best possible extent, and frequent hand washing and wearing mask when you have a COVID person in your vicinity or in your neighborhood or in your immediate contact, or you are a person aged 60 plus with a lot of comorbidities like diabetes, heart failure, or cancer, or you're an anti-cancer drug, you are on steroids. So many things, because 80% people or 90% people who died are people beyond age of 60 or 70, and with many comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, heart failure, bronchial asthma, tuberculosis, and whatsoever. So let us keep alert. Let us maintain the fundamental principles of reasonable social distancing. So not social is the wrong word. Individual distancing. This gives a wrong connotation. So not social distancing. That वो जिसको हिंदी बोलते हैं ना कि शारीरिक दूरी. I mean physical distancing, not social distancing. So we should keep physical distancing and frequent hand washing, especially when you are in an environment where COVID scenario is there, and especially if you are 60 plus, especially if you have many comorbidities along with, and especially if you are in that particular zone, or you are working in a hospital, and like that.
ये धर्मवीर जी, और एक सवाल आपके लिए आया हुआ है। विजय चंद्रू जी ने पूछा है कि वो इज इट नॉट टाइम फॉर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट टू मेक हेल्थ केयर अ फंडामेंटल राइट, और उन्होंने WHO डेफिनेशन ऑफ हेल्थ का भी जिक्र किया है। विजय चंद्रू जी ने पूछा है आपको।
I agree with him. It is a fundamental right. It is a fundamental right of every individual born on this earth. Health is a fundamental right because everything hangs around it. Everything, the life itself hangs around health. Not only you are there or you are not there. If you are sick, you are practically half there, and that doesn't make you a complete person, a complete man to accomplish the task designed for you. So it is not just healthy or non-healthy, it is complete health. So it should be fundamental right. I agree with him, fully agree that it should be the constitutional amendment should be there to make health a fundamental right. But again, there are many fundamental rights in the country. This can be another one. It's a question the commitment of the government and those people, those who matter, those who are at the helm of affairs. So we need a strong movement of social workers, intellectuals, and people who are well heard in society, and everyone should be on board to take this issue to the government of India and to the state governments also, and build the strongest, largest possible front on this issue, because it affects and concerns many people, almost whole of society. But since the people who matter, they have got their own hospitals now, nobody from that class goes to our government hospitals, nobody from that class even goes to India. Sonia Gandhi goes to America, Badal's wife, Prakash Singh Badal's wife goes to America, and all these big leaders, even MPs and chief ministers, they don't get even to India, to Indian corporate houses. They go directly to the American huge hospitals. So they have totally detached themselves from the Indian health system. They are no more part of us. They are part of a different clan. So that clan need to be told and ultimately need to be thrown out. And there's no way out, no shortcut. We may not do it, but we should keep on saying right kind of things till our last breath.
Dr. Dhamveer, let me take this opportunity to introduce you to Vijay, Professor Vijay Chandru. And let me embarrass him a little bit. He was professor at IISc, and he was the originator of Simputer, and he started this Strand Life Sciences, a pioneering biotechnology company.
Great.
He heads
Great.
that, and on a more personal rate, I and he, we finished our PhD at MIT the same year, 1982.
Okay. That's great. It's a long association.
Yes. We are very fortunate to have him, that he is listening to your talk, you know, and someday.
Great of him.
Yes.
It is so great of him. The longer the association, it shows the maturity of both the persons. The long association is a sign of maturity.
That applies to you and us too.
Definitely.
तो किसी के और कुछ सवाल है क्या साथियों? अगर सवाल होंगे तो रखें, डॉक्टर साहब बात करेंगे ही, लेकिन अगर सवाल ना हो तो हम लोग कंक्लूड करने की तरफ बढ़ सकते हैं। कोई सवाल किसी का ना हो तो मैं ये मनन, हाँ प्लीज। हाँ महेंद्र, बोलो महेंद्र, बोलो।
नहीं, मुझे अभी जो गवर्नमेंट ने जो नया वो 20 लाख करोड़ का जो नया झुंझुना दिया है, और उसको वो कोविड के उसमें काफी बोला भी जा रहा है, तो उसमें डॉक्टर धर्मवीर उनको क्या दिखता है क्या?
This Hindu paper in an article 2 days back had done a postmortem that 20 lakh crore. It says that only 67 crore is the effective amount. Rest is all it is playing with the statistics and playing with the figures. Only 67,000 is the real amount which is to be given to the people of this country. Rest is all playing with the figures and statistics only. Hindu paper only three days back, it is done a postmortem of the so-called 20 lakh packet. So somebody wrote a joke on it that is a guptdan, इसे कहते हैं गुप्तदान, सरकार ने दे दिया और जिनको मिलर को पता भी नहीं चला। इसे कहते हैं गुप्तदान कि सरकार ने 20 लाख दे भी दिया और जिसको मिला उसको पता भी नहीं चला कब मिल गया। So this is the actual state of affairs.
Yeah,
this is a fraud. This is a fraud. This is a fraud against the people again.
प्रश्न कहाँ गया? ये एक प्रश्न आपके लिए और है कि वो मनन कुमार जी ने पूछा है, वो पूछते हैं कि कहाँ गया? एक सेकंड, तो मनन कुमार नीचे है ना? एक मिनट, नीचे आने रहा है। एक सेकंड। हाँ, वो पूछ रहे हैं कि if corona is here to stay for long and physical distancing becomes a norm, then does not mean an end of protest. This also means a lot of power to the fascist. So where does the answer lies to fight and protest? ये उनका मनन कुमार जी का सवाल है।
He is right in a way because government all over the world has acquired enormous powers in the name of corona during last 2 months, and especially America and Indian government. I can remember the various legislations or various steps they have taken in concentrating power and acquiring more power and just brushing aside every other problem of the people and taking some anti-immigration policies in America and taking this anti-people policies maybe on the economic front, giving concession to corporate world and all that in India. So he is right that if corona has to stay here, which is a likely possibility, you cannot, in science, you cannot rule out the possibility whether it becomes another virus like HIV or like influenza virus. It is another virus which is going to stay here. But by that time, if the two things are bound to happen, either say 80-85% people may have subclinical disease, I mean not a manifest disease without any symptoms, and they get a natural immunity. How much immunity get? That's the secondary question. They get a natural immunity and society is almost free from that terror. Or there is an effective vaccine which is safe and effective, on which 80 different institutions or private government as well as private institutions, including our Serum Institute of India, are working day in and day out, and a universal immunization will get rid of it. Either immunity acquired itself with the with the infection occurring to 80 to 85% of any community or any country or any group of people, or some vaccination against the virus, which is on annual, and human trials have started. Animal trials have been there. Human trial, 3-phase human trial after, but it will take not less than at least 8 months to 1 year if you are to bring the right kind of vaccine. If you have to complete the vaccination protocol, I mean research protocol, you need 3-phase human trial before you establish the efficacy and safety of any vaccine. So that is on the way. Either a country or the world gets immunity, or there is a vaccine. Until then, there is always a danger of any conflagration or any what we call outbreak of this virus. It can be primary outbreak, it can be secondary outbreak. I mean, it can be the second phase, or what we call it recurrence, or what we call it second phase. We call it also scientifically. We call it second wave, or we have a second wave of it, as if few cases are occurring in South Korea. You don't know, because it's a new virus. The exact, I told you, the exact this virological as well as epidemiological, I mean, that what science deals with the spread of diseases is not exactly known. The immunity, how much it gives, is not known. Antibodies, how much is not known exactly. So we have to live in uncertainty. There is a limitation of science and limitation of virology and science studies, or any coming out of any vaccination. You cannot just wish it away, but this is a fact. And he's right that if it's going to stay, then society will learn to live with it. As we are living with many other viruses. We are living with influenza virus. We are living with HIV virus. We have to live with coronavirus. We may have to live with coronavirus also. And WHO also said that it may live for a long time and maybe lifelong. Like any other virus, we are living already together.
मेरे ख्याल से अब हम लोग कंक्लूड करने की तरफ बढ़ते हैं. मुझे याद आ रहा है कि 1997 में 1997 में जब आजादी के 50 साल पूरे हुए थे, तो हम लोगों ने दिल्ली में एक प्रोग्राम किया था, इसमें डॉक्टर धर्मवीर को बुलाया था हम लोगों ने, और 2-3 दिन हमारे साथ रहे थे यहाँ पर. काफी उनके तकरीर को लोगों ने बहुत पसंद किया था. और अब 2 साल के बाद 75 साल पूरे होने वाले हैं. अब फिर प्लान बनाना है हम लोगों को, और आपने वक्त निकाला आने के लिए, मतलब चर्चा में. और तो आपका शुक्रगुजार है. पुरानी दोस्ती की भी याद आ रही है हमें.
हमें भी बहुत अक्सर याद आते हैं. आप सभी लोग याद आते हैं. We love it to remember you all, and we had a very nice day. We still have very good relationship and love for each other, respect for each other.
तो वो, और आप सभी लोग आए और आपने चर्चा में भाग लिया. सब लोगों का शुक्रगुजार हूँ. और NSI की तरफ से हम लोग इस डिस्कशन को, ऐसे डिस्कशन को जारी रखेंगे. आप सभी लोगों का फिर एक बार शुक्रिया, और डॉक्टर धर्मवीर का भी फिर एक बार शुक्रिया.
Thank you very much, everybody. I am really thankful I am thankful to everybody for participating in the discussion and beating me out for this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.